Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to episode 15 of BraveHawk Talk, the UNCP Athletics podcast. I'm Bull Slavin, Assistant AD for Marketing Partnerships. We're so glad you are joining us here this evening. Today, we get to speak with our Scotland Healthcare Student Athlete of the Week, Brianna Warren, the standout sophomore from UNCP Volleyball, and then take a moment to speak with head football coach Shane Richardson as he anticipates and prepares for the upcoming 2020 season, the first season Braves football enters the Mountain East Conference. Again, thanks for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode. We are here with our Scotland Healthcare Student Athlete of the Week, the standout sophomore from UNC Pembroke Volleyball, Brianna Warren. Bree, thanks so much for being here with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
How has everything been going during this pandemic? You mentioned that you're working now. You mentioned that you're already tired. What have you been doing in kind of the workplace, and what led you to choose what you're doing right now?
Well, my mom actually works in a daycare, so I look up to her a lot. And right now I've just been working all day, and then I come home and work out. And I used to do homework ever since school stopped, so that's really it.
And you mentioned that, moving into that virtual platform of moving away from in-class experience, and now your semester is over, but you had to deal with all of the changes and moving to virtual classes online. What was that experience like, and how did you handle your virtual classes?
I felt like my classes personally got harder because it was harder for me to communicate to my teachers. But I know a lot of the teammates, Ashley and Ellie, were talking about how it's easier for them. But for me, personally, in working full-time, it was harder. But I was able to finish strong, so that's all I was happy about.
It's always important to finish strong, and as a student athlete, it's always extremely difficult to balance everything, and now adding work on top of that, on top of staying in shape and staying prepared, and you had classes in addition to your schedule. What have you been doing to prepare for the upcoming 2020 season? And we're preparing as if everything's 100%. I'm sure you're preparing in the same way. What have you been doing to stay ready without really access to gyms and that type of thing?
Well, we have like a little gym in our house, and my dad will never let up on me. So he really pushes me to work harder every day in our weight room that we have. And, I'm just trying to work with what I got.
Have you done anything that's been super creative? We've heard from some of our coaches where they've said that their athletes are getting super creative with workouts and equipment that they're using to stay in shape. Have you gotten creative with any of your workouts to try something new and kind of keep everything fresh?
Actually, yesterday I had my dad pull out this wood board, and I had him put it against the fence so I could play volleyball by myself, because working with my dad is not the easiest. So we just had to play and make it work that way.
Yeah, I understand that. In baseball, we have the pitch back, and I always rather a person riding that thing. I always used to throw it and it bounce off, or sometimes I'd miss and I have to go chase the ball in the woods and that type of thing. But I understand at least you're getting creative and figuring out ways to get better. And Bree, you got so much better your freshman year going into your sophomore year. There's so many people that talk about the sophomore slump. That was not the case for you this past year, as you were top 15 in the country in blocks per set, averaging 1.27 blocks per set, and really representing Pembroke well in all of Division II. What did you do to kind of mix it up from your freshman year to your sophomore year and see that big of a jump in your defensive skill set and having that big of a presence at the net this past year?
Well, I know coming in my freshman year, I didn't have the best confidence, and my coach told me, she said, what's something you need to work on? I said, I need to work on getting more confidence. And my dad really pushed me over the summer to get that back, and I came in thinking I'm better than anyone else. I know I told Ashley, I told her, you're better than anyone else. I told Aaron that too as a freshman. I said, you're better than anyone else. So coming in, playing against anyone across the net, I was just determined to beat them and say that I was better than them, so that it wouldn't break my confidence down anymore.
And Confident showed 158 total blocks this year alone, over 200 now in just 2 years in your Pembroke career. Impressive numbers, and we're anticipating that to continue this upcoming year, coming into your true junior season on the court. What are you most excited about for your junior year?
To win conference. Oh, I'm coming for that. We're coming for that. We're not letting up. I mean, we won one game last year, conference game, but that means nothing. I feel like we have one of the best teams. We're the most determined. We're ready to come for it. And Shane just gets us even pumped about the game. So he's going to get us ready, and we're going to be back in time to win a ring sooner or later.
And we know that excitement stems from your whole team, and we talked a little about it during the game of the week and how a lot of people see Pembroke as the underdog and how you guys kind of enjoy that because it's almost like a shock to them when you show up and take it to 5 sets and take home the victory as we watched against Georgia College. But with that, I mean, although the team has a lot of energy, a lot of people, fans, staff, see you as kind of the spark plug on the court with your energy. When you come up with a big block or a big kill, everybody in the gym knows it. What do you think that does for your teammates, those who are on the bench or on the sideline? I guess nobody really sits on the bench in volleyball, but on the sideline for you, and then the fans, what does your energy bring to a team?
I mean, I love to see when my teammates score and they get pumped, so I know when I do it, I know it excites them just as much. Whenever I see my teammates excited, it just gets me even more pumped. So I feel like it also gets in people's heads across the net, so it just helps me even more.
And you mentioned that competition and how much you love seeing your teammates and the reactions that you have, and it feeds off of them and they feed off of you. One of the coolest reactions we've seen outside of volleyball was when Emily Day from USA Volleyball actually got to present you with an award during this year's Golden Braves Awards. Although it was virtual, we threw in some special surprises, Emily Day being one of those. Take us through that experience for you. You're sitting with some of your teammates watching the Golden Braves Awards, and all of a sudden it's volleyball's turn for team awards, and next thing you know, USA Volleyball player Emily Day pops on screen. Take us through that and that experience and your emotions and everything like that.
I was very shocked, first of all, and honored to have her say my name and give me the award. I mean, having all my family members watch it online too, like I just feel like not just for me, but I was making this year for my parents, and it just made them. I was excited for them as well because I told them that this year was for them no matter what. So,
an incredible honor as Emily Day announced that you were the Defensive Player of the Year for UNCP Volleyball. A tremendous honor, and one that we were glad to work with her on. And a special thanks to Emily Day again from USA Volleyball for helping us out with that and really creating the impact on Brianna and the rest of her team and family like she did. And Bree, as we continue to look forward to 2020 season, we know that times are nothing short of crazy right now as we all become accommodated with it. But what are your goals? If everything was normal, everything returns back to the same, what are your goals for the upcoming year, personally and for the team? We know that the biggest one is obviously the conference championship, but personally, your goal, and then as a team goal, aside from that, take us through what your goals are and your steps to achieve those goals for this upcoming season.
Personally, I want to become a better leader on and off the court for my team because I know I just feel like Ashley does such a good job, and I look up to her, and I want to be like her one day. So I want to be a leader like her. But for my team, I think I would want to be a better offensive player. I mean, I know people see, oh, yeah, she got blocks, but, like, I want to be when we're struggling to catch back up or when we're only up by 1 point and we need to finish the game, I want them to look at me and be like, oh, okay, I'm going to give Bree this ball.
I think those are very valid and will be super useful. We mentioned how much better you got your freshman year to your sophomore year on the defensive side. The same was true on the offensive side, averaging a .248 hitting percentage from the 131 in your freshman year. Confidence comes along with that, of course, but practice and everything you're doing right now is obviously a key role for that as well. And your team, you guys are super close this year, probably more than we've ever seen before, how tight-knit the group is. What's your favorite road trip story so far with this group coming into next year? Do you have a favorite road trip story that you can share with us?
Yeah, so on road trips, me, Ellie, April, mostly the whole bus, would always play like Heads Up, I think it's called, where we would just have to act it out. And I mean, no one ever guessed my stuff, but it's fine. But that was something that we always did first, because I would always get sick on the buses no matter what, because I'm just terrible. But those were honestly my favorite part, because it does, like, the little things that you do outside of volleyball is what gets you closer. So I mean, those road trips were always fun with all the girls, and I'm gonna miss the seniors this year. So.
In the Heads Up game, I'm assuming we're referring to the Ellen DeGeneres Heads Up game, where you have the phone and you've acted out, and then everybody else tries to guess what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
What was do you have one that was like the toughest one that you had to act out that nobody got, or just one that you remember being specifically funny?
To be honest, no one ever gets any of the ones that I acted out. I don't get it. Ellie would just look at me, or I would try to act it out for Ellie, and she'd just look at me blank, and I'm like, okay. So I just say it for her, because it was no point.
So we're saying either you're not a good actor, or your teammates just don't understand your antics is what we're going with.
I'm gonna say that they just don't understand, because I feel like I was great.
Well, we might have to do that as a social media video this year. We're looking to bring back social media night again for UNCP Volleyball. Their tentative schedule is available on uncpbraves.com. Please make sure to check that out and mark the dates down. The promo schedule will hopefully be released within the next month for everybody to plan their calendars accordingly. But we may have to test your skills on Heads Up as a social media game for the video board for everybody to witness. And we may just have to bring Ellie in with you so that we can get her reaction to see if it's just you, or see if we can help you out.
Tell her to bring it on. I'm ready.
All right, well, that sounds good to me. We'll definitely add that to our content list for this upcoming fall. Bree, we always end every interview with a fun question. Some of them hard, some of them simple, but all of them always bring out good answers. So we're going to do the same for you. This one is a simple question, but I think it'll lead to other conversations. Your question is, does pineapple belong on pizza?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Not. That's gross. See, like on ham, fine, but pizza, absolutely not.
That was a strong and very quick answer on the absolutely not. So, Bree, tell us what your favorite pizza is, or do you like pizza? Let's start there. Do you like pizza?
I love pizza.
Okay,
but
so
I'm
what
a
is?
very plain person.
So we're talking just cheese pizza.
Yes, when it comes to anything. Sandwiches, I just want turkey, no condiments, nothing. When it comes to pizza, absolutely nothing but cheese, maybe pepperoni sometimes.
Well, if you are such a plain person with food, that definitely makes sense why pineapple does not belong on pizza, in your opinion. And although plain in the food category, definitely a great personality and a lot of energy on the court. Bree, thanks so much for joining us today on BraveHawk Talk. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks again to Brianna Warren from UNCP Volleyball, our Scotland Healthcare Student Athlete of the Week. Did you know that today is National No Dirty Dishes Day? To keep your dishes clean, how about visiting our partners of UNC Pembroke Athletics, Jersey Mike's, McDonald's, the Pembroke Wing Company, and Bojangles, all still open and ready for your business. Thanks again for your support of our local partners and UNC Pembroke Athletics. Up next, we have head coach of UNC Pembroke football, Shane Richardson. Coach, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing well, Bo. Really appreciate you having me on, and very interesting times, and we're making the best of it, and it's an opportunity really that we've got to look at it to say, hey, what can we do to pick up the positives, and how can we create some energy around kind of the hand that we're dealt, and the great thing is that everybody else is in the same situation too, and so. You just got to try to be creative. You got to try to be resourceful, and got to keep a great mindset here as you go into kind of unforeseen, circumstances in terms of what our future holds right now. But hey, we're just taking it one day at a time, and just staying positive and staying engaged with what we're doing, and hoping for the best here.
Yeah, it is definitely crazy times for everyone, including, our side on the administrative side as well. All of us keeping our fingers crossed for the upcoming season, and everybody doing the right and prepping in the right way for the upcoming season as well. And you mentioned how crazy it is being away from your guys. I mean, you guys would have, had your black and gold spring football game, gone through a full set of spring practices, and instead everybody winds up getting sent home at spring break and encouraged not to come back for safety reasons as we finish the semester virtually. And, that same for you. I mean, you have 4 kids, and, you get to spend some time with them coming out of spring break as they went virtual as well. What's this time with family? You're such a big family guy with the team and in the locker room. You always see your wife and the kids running around the facility on game days and that type of thing. What does it mean for you to get some of this time to spend with them, especially in their young developmental years right now?
No, that's a great question. I really appreciate you bringing that up. It's actually been really, really good. And as working in college athletics and as a college football coach, you get into this grind sometimes that can kind of overwhelm you, kind of almost lead to a little bit of kind of some obsessive behaviors. And, you're in the office a lot. You're spending a lot of time with, not your family. And so this has created a very interesting awareness to where, honestly, we've been able to get a lot of work done, and we've been on a lot of video calls as a staff, as a team, and we've stayed in really good contact with our players, and there's been a lot of really good things that have come of it. And, it's one of those things where you don't realize how much time that you're probably away from your family doing all this on a normal day-to-day basis. And so to be able to have you take a small break in the day, and you're able to kind of walk back in the house and see your kids sitting there doing their homework, and they're at the table, and you're able to maybe help them out with something. And, my wife, Jenna, she had to go into playing homeschool teacher, throughout these past few weeks. So it's been a nice transition for her to learn how to do that. And, but it's been great. Honestly, there's been moments where I wouldn't trade this. And, I know there's a lot of negative, and there's a lot of uncertainty, and there's a lot of, we wish that this hadn't happened, or, all those types of thoughts. But I think what we've got to do is we've got to take some of the habits and some of the things that we've created during this time and think about what we want to hang on to as we get back into a normal pace. And I know for sure that I've really enjoyed and loved the family time with Jenna and the 4 kids. And, it's something where now it's going to be a challenge to, okay, how can we balance that back in, and how can we kind of hang on to some things as we get back into another grinding routine, especially with the season upon us here, as that's kind of our next step in the year of what we're doing. But, I think you got to continue to kind of take it in stride a little bit and try to pick out the good, and continue to try to revamp what you're doing. And, I think also to go along with it, Bo, these video calls and technology, I think we can be more efficient too, is what we're doing day to day. And I'm not quite so sure that I'm sold on everything has to be done in an exact meeting room all the time. And, I'm definitely a traditionalist when it comes to a lot of things, but, hey, technology is good too. And advancing where you can really get on and communicate with people while seeing them on video and still getting everything accomplished that you need to, there's some value to that too. So there's been a lot of really good things that have come out of this, and I'm looking forward to try to combining the two when we get back into kind of a normalized schedule as we know it.
Yeah, and some of that technology stuff is going to be huge, and obviously the whole new generation of recruits is already better than you and me at a lot of the technology things. And I know that the football program has already moved into the place where the guys can pull up clips and plays and scouting reports and things like that on their laptops and iPads. I know that you give them homework assignments and things like that during season. And we got to talk a little bit about this past season and the transition period right now and the crazy times from the player standpoint with Josh Jones, your quarterback, and Amari Bryce Green on Saturday, recapping the Winston-Salem State game for UNC Pembroke's game of the week this past weekend. And they mentioned some of these things you're talking about how much you guys have been in contact with them and how big of a role technology has played. And they also mentioned the accountability that they're having with their own teammates and that they themselves are developing as leaders with these meetings and opportunities to really drive home the fact that they have to prepare for the upcoming season in a way that would have been normal. Normally they're on their own during the summer anyway, but you had 5 more weeks of what was the end of the semester without a coaching staff, and you could really change a season one way or the other with your personnel based off of if they're ready and if they hold themselves accountable. What are some of the things that you guys have tried to preach? I know you guys always approach it as it's bigger than football and making young men as well in the program, but what are some of the things that you've tried to preach to the guys to really prepare for the upcoming year without your really visual guidance?
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think, our players, to first and foremost kind of set the stage for that, is our players have really taken on this whole challenge and done a great job with it. They've been very receptive, and they've reciprocated what we've talked about as a team and as a program. And one of the things we've talked about, Bull, is what we've tried to do is just break it down and keep it simple. And we've talked about going 1-0 just one day at a time. And it really goes back to kind of what we talk about with one of our objectives on the field, and that's just to play your best this play right now. And, don't worry about what happened yesterday. Don't worry about what's to come. And it's a great slogan, I think, that can apply to a lot of different things, not just only your play that you're playing in the game of football. It really is applicable right now because guys have had to transition to classes that are all completely online, and their routines are just really out of sync. They've had to move home, or a lot of them have. Some of them have had to even, get jobs earlier than maybe they normally would. A lot of different things that have come up. And what we've talked about is just breaking it down and saying, hey, you just got to focus on giving your best one day at a time and trying to win at whatever you're doing in the moment. And just go 1-0 one day at a time and let tomorrow take care of itself. And that's been something we've really tried to focus on. Another thing that I think is really important to hit on is we haven't necessarily made a whole lot of things required or mandatory. And of course, there's been a lot of things that you can't, but during a time where we actually could have, as a coaching staff, we decided to kind of go the other direction and say, you know what? We're going to encourage and try to create the vision for we want it to be desired, not required. And we want the players to feel like it's something they want to do and something they're motivated and inspired to do, and not just a burden to where they have to do another thing, and they've got, kind of a big, long task list in front of them that they've got to pile on top of, in light of the academic situation and the home life, where they're in a new routine, and now they actually do have to answer to mom and dad, whereas they don't have to when they're on campus. But there's a lot of things that they had to take on where we said, hey, let's make it a desired effort and a desired approach where guys are inspired by each other. Guys have done a great job of kind of really driving the train, so to speak, and they post videos to each other to try to challenge and encourage and keep guys accountable, and it's really been a fun thing. And, of course, guys have to get creative and they have to be resourceful. There's a lot of gyms that are not open anymore. They do not have access to all the normal equipment that they would have had this not been the situation. And they've done a good job. There's been some really good exercises and things that guys have done, and we've done our job as a coaching staff to make sure that we put some things up there as recommendations too to help them out. And I couldn't be more proud of our team with how we've responded to it. And I think guys have been great communicators in the whole thing, and of course, we haven't been 100% in terms of every guy making everything and being at every single meeting or engagement or whatever we're doing. But guys have been great at communicating. They've been great at just understanding that everybody's got a responsibility to each other if we want this thing to look as special as it can be this fall. And there's a lot of energy around that, I can tell you. I mean, there's a great energy of guys being very excited and very hopeful for this upcoming season. And so I think that's really driving them and motivating them in terms of what they're doing right now.
And you mentioned this upcoming season, and you mentioned that everything that as a coaching staff you're dealing with guys now entering the workplace and helping out families more than ever before, to where you guys are becoming so much more than just a coaching staff. But as we talk about that 1-0 mentality and we talk about the fall and the anticipation of sports returning, this year is special for Braves football, as Braves football will be entering the Mountain East Conference and any conference for the first time in program history. You've been here in Pembroke, North Carolina for 15 years. Just real briefly, what does entering a conference mean for the program, and what do you think it means to the guys and UNCP sports and the university as a whole?
Boy, it's been huge. It is extremely exciting, and we mention the Mountain East Conference pretty much on a daily basis. It's become a natural terminology with how we communicate, and so it's been something that we're all looking forward to. Of course, we haven't had this situation before, and so I've been able to become fairly familiar with some of the other head coaches, and just looking at our schedule and kind of thinking about all the teams that we're going to play and the places we're going to go. And it's really comforting to know that we've got a home. There's a conference that we can call home and ours, and that we belong to. And I tell you what, there's a great inspired attitude towards the opportunity to play in that conference against the great competition that it comes along with, and then be able to have an opportunity to compete and have a chance at a conference championship opportunity, and have a chance at some postseason awards and things of that nature. And I tell you what, it's unprecedented. I mean, we haven't been here before, and I tell you, it has created a lot of energy. It's created a lot of guys just buzzing about it. And, again, we talk about it's how we play, not who we play, but just to know that there's something stable, something that's very competitive, something that, we can call our conference. And, that's been great to hear guys talk about that. And I think just the vision of what this season can look like, to be able to play in a conference and to compete for a conference championship, is something and exciting in and of itself. And so we couldn't be more thrilled. I think it really does a lot of things for just the whole entire athletic department, and to have football finally kind of land and have a home, and this be the first season for it. This is going to be a special season.
We are looking forward, as there are a lot of new adventures that come along with entering the conference, and those are adventures that the department and university and Brave Nation as a whole are looking forward to. Coach, we always end every episode and interview with a fun question. We're not going to change it here. We're definitely going to end with one that's fun and a little bit more challenging. We know how much of a intellectual guy you are and like to think, so we're going to ask you a question. Feel free to take as much time as you need to answer it, and then we'll all highly anticipate your answer. Here's the question that we wanted to ask you. What's more important, doing the right thing or doing things right?
Oh, baby. I tell you what, Bo, you must have taken a look at my GPA and knew that this was going to stump me. I tell you what, there's a quote, and this makes me think of this, is back in 7th grade in my locker, my uncle was my principal, and he put it in my locker on day one of school, and I didn't know it was him at the beginning, and then I kind of finally figured it out. But the quote was, it was basically kind of referring to what you're saying here, Bo, is doing what's right is not always popular. Doing what's popular is not always right. And it took me a while to kind of think about that, and it probably took me a while to actually learn what that actually meant. But, doing what's right is always the right time. And when you do things right, it becomes a habit and a pattern, and, you do the right thing. And I think internally it's from the inside out to where you want to be a person that is about standing for the right thing. And I think it's from the inside out to where then you end up doing things right. And so, it's always the right time to do the right thing. And so here we go.
And what better time than now as we enter into the 2020 season. UNC Pembroke football will enter into the Mountain East Conference. Season tickets are now on sale, uncbbraves.com/tickets. Make sure to grab yours today so you can see Coach Richardson and UNC Braves football compete in the Mountain East Conference for the very first time. Coach, thanks so much for joining us today on BraveHawk Talk. We really appreciate it.
Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate it, and we're really looking forward to this season. Go Braves.
Thanks again to head UNCP football coach Shane Richardson, along with sophomore standout from UNC Pembroke Volleyball Brianna Warren, for both joining us today on BraveHawk Talk, the UNCP Athletics podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page so you can check out all of the BraveHawk Talk episodes, along with other special videos and insights into UNCP athletics. And while you're at it, for all things UNCP sports, don't forget to follow us on social media at UNCP_sports on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and now on TikTok as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us today on BraveHawk Talk. We hope you continue to stay safe, and you'll hear from us again real soon on the next episode of BraveHawk Talk. Have a great evening and a great week, everyone.